Scams in the poultry industry. Do you know that we have very many scams in the poultry industry? Today, I'm going to give you the top 5 scams in the poultry industry. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. The first scam in the poultry industry is about the F1 generation. This is whereby you find a farmer or a supplier who is selling to you chicks and is claiming that their chicks are F1 generation. How do you get the F1 generation? The F1 generation is got from a parent stock. A parent stock is got from grandparent stock. Now let me explain. Grandparent stock are 4 different breeds of chicken, pure lines that are crossbred. Now let me give you an example. First, you need the grandparent. The grandparent, you have 4 pure line breeds. For the pure line breeds, you can have the Rhode Island Red. It has been crossbred with the white Leghorn. Okay? After you have crossbred that, you get one parent stock. That can be the male parent stock after crossing the 2, the Rhode Island Red with the white Leghorn. Okay? Now you have got the one parent stock. Then you go on to the other side. Then you get Buff Orpington plus Black Astrolabe. You're crossbreeding 2 pure lines, the Buff Orpington and the Black Astrolabe. You get another parent stock, which will be the female. So the male parent stock has characteristics of 2 breeds. The female parent stock has also characteristics of 2 breeds. Now, each parent stock has a characteristic of 2 breeds. So the 2 parent stock have a characteristics of the 4 pure lines. So what they do, they take the 2 parent stock, then they mate them together. Then you get the commercial F1 generation of a chicken. So if you don't know something like that, you'll find out that farmers will be selling to you chicken that you think they're F1 generation, but when you are keeping them, you find out that they are feeding more and yet they are not gaining weight. The second thing is that they can be feeding more and yet they have reached the age of laying and yet they haven't started laying. That is another thing that can really occur on your farm if you are not getting the F1 generation. That really happens on many farmers, whereby you'll find farmers crying and saying, oh, my chicken are not growing very well and I think they're just F1. They are not F1. Most of those chicken, they have been inbred. You know, if a chicken is inbred, it will lose some of its characteristics. So the only thing these people usually do so that you can get a pure line. For example, if I want to get a pure line, after I've gotten the commercial, the F1 generation of chicken, I will do something known as selective breeding. What I will do, because I know those chicken have the characteristics of the grandparents and the parents too. All the characteristics of the 4 grandparents. So what I will do, I will take those chicken, then I will do something known as selective breeding, whereby I will pick the chicken because of their characteristics and how their body shape looks like. Then I will inbreed with themselves so that I can go back to the pure line. And do you know how you get the pure line? You have to really inbreed them for like 6 generations. 6 to 7 generation is whereby you return to the original characteristics of the parent stock. So from that is whereby now you can try and crossbreed different breeds so that you can be able to get your own grandparent stock and get your own parent stock. Because after you have gotten your own grandparent and parent stock, you will be able to fetch higher price on the market, because the price of a parent stock is 10 times the price of an F1 generation. It is also a good business, but most people usually just enter it to be able to get lots of money out of it. That is the first scam in the poultry industry, whereby you find farmers selling to you chicks and they are claiming that they're F1 generation and yet they are not F1 generation. The bad thing is that when the chicks are day old, you can't differentiate between an F1 and an F3 generation. That is the only difference when they are day old. You can only differentiate them when they have grown in size. So that the only thing that you can do here is make sure you're buying your chicks from a reputable hatchery. That is the only solution for this problem. The second scam in the poultry industry is adulterated feeds. You know, adulterated feeds is whereby you find feeds that you are giving to your chicken. On the label, they have claimed that the crude protein is 20%. But when some guys come and test the feed, they find that the crude protein is only 14%. This comes hereby, whereby if you are in a country, whereby it is a third world country, and the cost of protein are very high, these will lead to these guys who are doing business. It is business. They want to get something out of it. If things are very high on their side, they won't be able to spend a lot of money in the purchase of the protein, because after they have purchased the protein, they also want to sell at an affordable price. Yes, per se, at affordable price to farmers, so that they can also sell huge amounts of their feed to farmers. Whereby you can come and find some feeds that are very cheap in the market, so you are going for the feeds, yet you don't know that Some of those feeds, they have already adulterated the feeds. They are claiming that the feeds have all the nutrients that the chicken require for them to grow well, but you'll find out that it has very low amounts of crude protein or any other nutrients for your chicken. And this can lead to diseases in your chicken, because there are some of the diseases that are caused by malnourishment in the chicken. So that is the only thing that you have to do. You have to only make your own feed. That is the only solution, making your own feed. And this can come by whereby if you are making your own feed and you are not sourcing your raw materials from a reputable supplier, because in my instance, some time back, I went and bought this roasted soya bean that has been grinded. So instead of this guy selling to me the roasted soya bean, what he did, he mixed grinded soya bean with rotten maize. The maize that is rotten, then he crushed them together. So when you try to smell the soya bean, you find out that the soya bean has the smell of that rotten maize. And then when I gave to my chicken, my chicken were just having this diarrhea, and my chicken were not growing, because I know the crude protein of soya bean is very high, because it has those very high amino acids in it. So this means that it is highly absorbable by the chicken gut. This is another problem which can occur on your farm if you are not getting the raw materials for formulating your feeds from the right suppliers. They can really lure you into buying wrong or adulterated raw material. So the only solution to this is that you can contract farmers and buy raw materials from them that is of high quality, or you can buy it raw. For example, if it's for the soya bean, make sure you're buying it raw, then you're coming in and roasting it yourself. Don't let those guys roast for you and grind for you, because it is a business. What you can do, make sure you're formulating your own feeds and you're getting raw materials from a reputable supplier. This can occur whereby you find, oh, my chicken are not growing. Maybe you have gotten the F1 generation, but your chicken are not growing. These guys are in business and they want money. Another scam in the poultry industry is whereby you find farmers claiming that their birds are organic free. You know, it is very hard for you as a farmer to be able to rear your chicken up to maturity without the use of antibiotic. Only if you're not using the organic treatments that I have posted many of the videos in this channel. So guys, if you haven't watched most of those videos, make sure you watch them out. Most of these farmers, what they do, because you know, for the broilers and some of these chickens that are meant for meat, these farmers usually want them to grow up very fast. And you know, if some diseases attack this chicken, they usually slow down the growth of this chicken. For example, like coccidiosis. If a coccidiosis attacks a chicken, it really slow down the growth of that chicken. So what these guys do, they have to give antibiotic to their chicken, because also, you know, the broilers, as they are in their coop, they usually emit a lot of ammonia, and the ammonia usually affects the eyes and the throat of those chicken, whereby you will find the chicken like they are snoring in a way, and also you can find the sneezing and watery eyes. So that is an effect of ammonia in the coop. And that can also be solved whereby you find these farmers, they use a lot of antibiotics so that they can try and curb down diseases that may arise in those farms. Examples of antibiotics they use is like oxytetracycline for the prevention and control of the coccidiosis, and the doxycycline for the prevention and treatment for the coughs and the sneezing for the chicken. So those are some of the antibiotics that these farmers usually use. So most of these farmers, they won't be able to raise those chicken organic free without getting some losses on their farm. So what they do, they just do it underwater. Then after they have done it underwater, then they will claim that these chicken are organic and they are antibiotic free. So if you are not careful with what you are consuming as a consumer, because for example, this chicken, like for the layers, some people, you know, for the layers, whereby the layers usually lay eggs and maybe they have gotten sick during their laying period, and you find a farmer giving antibiotics to the chicken, and yet he's still selling the eggs to you, and the chicken are sick. You know, you can't be able to assess and know that these chicken were sick when they were laying these eggs. So when you find, you know, there is always a withdrawal period, because when you find some chickens that are laying eggs, if you are giving them antibiotic, it's like between 3 to 7 days that you should not be able to sell your eggs. But the problem comes in whereby you find you have fed your chicken and it has consumed a lot of money on feeds. So you are just asking yourself, how will I be able to throw away these eggs? So that comes whereby, you know, it's also poverty, whereby this guy just decide and sell off those eggs to unsuspected customers that don't know what really is going on in the market. So that is another scam in the poultry industry, whereby people can sell to you, they say antibiotic free, but the chicken was sick and they were given antibiotics, and yet you can eat the meat and you can also eat the eggs. Scam in the poultry industry is the water injection. This is whereby you find broiler farmers, They inject, or meat farmers, can I say meat farmers or the poultry? They inject their broilers with water before they take them to the market. Have you ever heard of that? These guys, they just take the broiler, before just they sell it, they have slaughtered it, then they inject it with water, like 500 grams of water. Because if the broiler was like 1.3 kgs, then they add the 500 grams on top of it, so it becomes 1.8. You know, if for example, for a kg is costing like 400 Kenyan shillings, for example, like 400 Kenyan shillings. So if you're injecting 500 grams of water into it, that will add you a sweet 200 Kenyan shillings. That is like $1.3, for example. So what if you have like 1,000 chicken? That is what people are doing out here. If they have many chicken, they can inject small amount of water into it and it increases its weight after they have slaughtered it. So when they are selling to you, you think that this chicken is very heavy, but after you are cooking it, you find out that a lot of water is coming out of it. Oh, you are scammed. That is it. That is another scam in the poultry industry. Another one is label switching. That is another scam in the poultry industry. And how does this occur? Label switching occurs whereby, for example, this is way different than adulterated. Label switching is whereby if a small farmer or a different supplier is supplying to you day-old chicks, and there is this very big company in the market that they are selling their day-old chicks, what they do, they will go out there, then they will print an exact type of box or carton with that the biggest supplier of the chicks in that country. And what these guys will do after they have done that, they will take those cartons, then they will repackage their own chicks. That is for example. And also it goes for the feeds. This is where you find feeds that have been repackaged. You may think that these feeds are from a certain company, but after you have fed your chicken, you have bought it at an exorbitant price, then you have fed it to your chicken, you find out that your chicken are not growing. And you're saying, these guys are messing with their feeds. No, it can be the company that have messed up with their feeds, I don't know. But another thing that can really occur is that you may find people repackaging the feeds. Even it occurs in human feed, whereby you find people are repackaging flour, people are repackaging oil. It occurs everywhere. So that is another thing, whereby people can switch the label. You may think that that is the product in it, but the real sense is that it is only an illusion. It is an illusion. So you are thinking that it is that product that you usually buy. But what they have done, they have made their own things, then they have changed the label on that. So you may just be thinking, oh, I've gotten the right feeds for my chicken. And you're feeding your chicken are not growing. That is another scam in the poultry industry. Make sure you like this video. And if you haven't watched on how you can formulate your own feeds, click up here.